Behind the glamorous lights of TLC's 90-Day Fiancé, there is a story darker than anyone imagined. Jenny Slatan and Sumit Singh, the couple fans admired for defying all odds, were hiding secrets that could destroy their relationship. What if it was all a lie? What if the man millions watched pledge his eternal love was living a secret double life? A life filled with affairs, financial ruin, and legal trouble. According to confidential sources, Sumit Singh was secretly involved with multiple women. He was seen meeting them at various restaurants, showing the complexity of his personal life. It didn't end there. Our sources say Sumit fell into massive financial trouble after huge losses in the stock market, eventually amassing $300,000 in debt. When he failed to repay on time, creditors filed a lawsuit. After investigation and hearings, the court sentenced Sumit to 7 months in prison. Affairs, betrayal, financial disaster, and legal drama began to unravel their fairy tale romance. To understand the depth of the fall, we must remember the height of their love story. After nearly a decade of long-distance struggles, visa issues, and conflict with his parents, Sumit finally married Jenny. She was 63, he was 33. The age gap was big, but their determination was stronger. Surrounded by friends who supported them, it seemed like the ultimate victory. Jenny left her life in America, her family, friends, and comfort for him. But according to sources in Delhi and Mumbai, their marriage was already crumbling. Almost immediately after the wedding, the happy image seen on social media was a carefully crafted illusion. Behind the scenes, the real Sumit Singh was emerging, a man who felt trapped and sought validation elsewhere. Our investigation shows that Sumit, leveraging his minor celebrity from the show, frequented exclusive dating apps and high-end social circles in Delhi. He presented himself not as a devoted husband, but as a single man exploring the dating scene. This began 6 to 7 months after the wedding. He was a regular at certain clubs in Ho's Cars and Connor Place, preferring young, ambitious, well-to-do Indian women who weren't fans of the show. He never mentioned having a wife. The story was always that the Jenny relationship was exaggerated for TV drama and that he was free. This wasn't a one-time indiscretion. Sources documented multiple meetings. On March 15, 2023, Sumit was seen having dinner with a woman we'll call Priya, a fashion stylist, for over 3 hours, holding her hand across the table. 10 days later, he met another woman, Jolly, an aspiring actress, at Ping's Cafe Orient. The pattern was clear. For Jenny, who believed he was at business meetings or with male friends, the reality was very different. Why would a man who fought publicly for his wife risk it all? Dr. Sharma explains that the psychology is complex. Sumit sacrificed his family's approval and traditional path for this relationship. Once the excitement and TV attention faded, he faced the reality of the age gap and cultural compromises, creating an identity crisis. Seeking attention from younger women became a way to reclaim youth and freedom, a destructive coping mechanism for personal conflicts. Jenny, sources say, was not entirely blind. She noticed a growing distance, late nights, unexplained expenses, and secrecy with his phone. When she confronted him, he had excuses: business stress, the stock market, or paranoia. But the stock market excuse was both real and terrifying. While Sumit played the charming bachelor in upscale Delhi restaurants, he was also engaged in a high-stakes game, the stock market. Financial documents and sources say he developed a severe gambling addiction on the stock market, not in cards or roulette. Using earnings from the show and massive debt, he began risky day trading on options and futures. Early wins fueled the addiction. He believed he could succeed big, pouring more money he didn't have into trades. He took personal loans from banks and unregulated high-interest lenders. When the market turned, losses were catastrophic, around $300,000 in debt. The monthly installments became impossible. Aggressive lenders started calling. Jenny, living a simple life, was unaware of the financial disaster. Sumit assured her it was a temporary slump, blaming his digital marketing business. The lenders began threatening phone calls, first personal numbers, then their apartment landline. Jenny answered only to hear heavy breathing or demands for repayment. Sumit dismissed them as prank calls or mistakes. The facade was cracking. Stress consumed him. He became short-tempered and withdrawn. The romantic trips and dinners shown on Instagram were often funded by desperate credit card cash advances. The financial and personal crises were reaching a tipping point, ready to thrust their private nightmare into the harsh light of the Indian judicial system. In August 2023, the inevitable happened. A group of 3 private lenders, represented by a strong law firm in Delhi, filed a civil lawsuit against Sumit Singh for defaulting on loans totaling over $200,000. The remaining $100,000 was owed to formal banks, which began their own recovery processes. The court summons was delivered to their apartment. Jenny, confused and terrified, finally saw the hard evidence. The staggering numbers, the list of creditors, and the reality of her husband's deception hit her like a wave of legal documents and financial figures. The case was messy from the start. Sumit tried to defend himself, claiming some interest rates were too high, which was partly true, but he had signed the contracts. He had no real defense for non-payment and missed several court dates, making things worse. The lenders pushed for the harshest penalty to make an example. Jenny was humiliated. Her private life was now public. Reporters in India began covering the story. The 90-day fiancé starred drowning in debt. The narrative of their perfect love was unraveling. The court proceedings were long and stressful, stretching over months. Sources say Sumit was broken in the courtroom. He had no defense, and the evidence against him was overwhelming. After reviewing the documents and hearing testimonies, the judge found him guilty of willful default and financial fraud. The verdict came in April 2024. While financial disputes often lead to asset seizure or wage garnishment, the judge ruled that Sumit's actions showed blatant disregard for the law and a calculated attempt to defraud multiple institutions. He was sentenced to 7 months in Tihar jail, one of India's most notorious prisons, as a warning to others who might consider similar misconduct. The arrest was swift. Sumit was taken into custody straight from the courthouse. Jenny was there, watching silently as the man she loved was handcuffed and led away. It was the moment her heart finally broke beyond repair. For Jenny, the world collapsed. Their apartment became a tomb of memories. Calls from producers, friends, and family went unanswered. She was alone in a foreign country, her husband behind bars, and her life savings, which she had trusted Sumit to manage, almost gone. She visited him once in early May 2024. Sources describe the meeting as cold, devastating, and final. Jenny faced a horrific experience. Sumit, gaunt and terrified, blamed everyone, producers, the market, his family, but never fully accepted responsibility. When pressed about his affairs, he finally admitted everything, hoping his situation would earn sympathy. For Jenny, this was the final betrayal. Financial ruin was one thing, but the deliberate, sustained deception was another. It destroyed their love, trust, and the story she had believed for a decade. She left the prison that day a different woman. The hopeful, loving Jenny from the show was gone. In her place was a woman forged by fire who had finally seen the truth. Back at the empty apartment, she made the hardest decision of her life. It was time to go home and end the nightmare. With help from a few loyal friends and the American embassy, Jenny began separating herself from her life in India. The first step was hiring a lawyer to file for divorce on grounds of adultery and irreconcilable differences. Serving divorce papers to an inmate in Tihar jail was complex, but was accomplished in late May 2024. Sumit was initially combative, then pleading, then despondent. He begged her to reconsider, promising to change upon release. But Jenny had made up her mind. Her long well of forgiveness had run dry. Dr. Sharma says, Jenny's decision is a classic breaking point. Years of uncertainty, family rejection, public scrutiny, financial deception, and affairs were the final weights that broke the camel's back. Leaving was self-preservation, reclaiming her life after years of lies. The Indian legal system processed the uncontested divorce quickly. With Sumit unable to fight, the decree was finalized in weeks. On a humid day in June 2024, Jenny was officially free. She boarded a flight from Indira Gandhi International Airport back to the United States, leaving India and Sumit Singh behind. There were no cameras, no crews, just a 66-year-old woman carrying the shattered pieces of a dream that cost her a decade. The story of Jenny and Sumit was over. Returning to America was a culture shock. She moved in with her daughter in a quiet town, seeking peace and anonymity. The pain was immense, and she felt deep shame and embarrassment over how publicly her life had fallen apart. She avoided the media, deleted social media, and focused on healing. During this quiet recovery, a figure from her past reemerged, Alex, a longtime family friend. A 58-year-old retired school teacher and widower, Alex had known Jenny through her daughter. When he learned of her ordeal, he reached out not with pity, but with steadfast friendship. He called regularly and helped with practical matters like setting up bank accounts and handling car insurance, helping her rebuild a life that felt overwhelming. Alex was a rock, calm, stable, and normal after a decade of chaos with Sumit. He was the opposite of Sumit. No grand gestures, no dramatic promises. He simply listened, made her laugh, and offered steady support. For Jenny, it was a chance to feel safe, grounded, and human again that he represented a life of peace, stability, and mutual respect, everything she had been missing. Slowly, their friendship blossomed into something more. For the first time, Jenny was in a relationship that was not filmed, not analyzed by fans, and not criticized by disapproving families. It was private, real, and built on shared life experience and genuine care. In a quiet, private moment in early September 2024, away from cameras and the world, Alex proposed. Jenny Slatton, who had once sworn off love, said yes. The engagement was not a publicity stunt or for television. It was a quiet, confident step of a woman who had walked through fire, survived, and found love that heals rather than destroys. Sumit Singh was released from Tihar jail in late 2024 after serving his 7-month sentence. Sources say he is a pariah, his reputation ruined. He returned to live with his parents in Delhi, who reportedly said, "We told you so," but took him in out of duty. He faces a mountain of debt that could last years or even decades. The fame he once had from 90 Day Fiancé is now a reminder of his very public downfall. He is reportedly despondent, unemployed, and cut off from the international circle he once enjoyed. Jenny Slatton is planning a small, intimate wedding with Alex in spring 2025. She has no plans to return to television. She is focused on her family, her new life, and her peace. The woman who once said she would die for Sumit has now chosen to live for herself. The story of Jenny and Sumit is a modern-day Greek tragedy on a global stage. It reminds us that reality TV narratives are often just edited stories, hiding much more complex and darker truths. For Jenny, the journey taught her that love should not require losing yourself. Devotion should not mean blindness, and it is never too late to choose your own happiness. Sumit's story serves as a cautionary tale about deception, the lure of spectacle, and the consequences of living a lie. The fairy tale is over, the credits have rolled, but in the ashes of heartbreak, Jenny found her strength, her voice, and a second chance at love that feels like home. Jenny Slatton and Sumit Singh remain a topic of debate among fans. Many feel their storyline has lost its spark and no longer fits the original premise of The Other Way, which focused on couples facing struggles when relocating for love. Audiences believe Jenny and Sumit are recycling old conflicts, making their journey feel repetitive and out of sync with the show's intent. Family drama continues to stir tension. Recently, Sumit's aunt openly criticized the couple's age gap, claiming Jenny was old enough to be his mother. This reignited debates over their unconventional relationship and whether their marriage could withstand cultural and generational pressures. Sumit is trying to start anew. Beyond reality TV, he has plans to grow his cafe business and eventually use it as a springboard to enter the automotive industry. He hopes to transform a small local cafe into the foundation for a car line, showing his entrepreneurial spirit and desire to succeed outside the shadow of 90 Day Fiancé. This paints a complicated picture. A couple trying to stay relevant on screen, facing family resistance, and pursuing new opportunities while fans question whether they belong in the show. Jenny and Sumit have struggled to convince viewers that they are still relevant. Their once popular chemistry and real love story no longer captivates audiences. The Other Way Season 7 marked the couple's return to TLC, but fans were perplexed. Many new couples appeared alongside familiar faces, showing struggles, losses, and emotional challenges. Jenny and Sumit, having lived in India for years, seemed out of place. Jenny knows the culture, has a strong bond with Sumit's family, and has assimilated into life there. Fans think TLC should have cast them on a show like Happily Ever After or 90 Days, which would better showcase their transformation. Some viewers believe Jenny and Sumit are exaggerating financial problems for drama. After losing employment, Sumit persuaded Jenny to live with his parents. Running a cafe in India became another dream. Despite changes, Jenny struggles to adjust to in-laws and longs for independence. Many fans feel the couple is faking money problems, creating conflict for the show. After years of waiting, they returned to TV to document their lives, but viewers felt it did not fit the show's premise. American celebrities and international couples often struggle abroad, and TLC has covered these experiences. Jenny arrived in India nearly 7 years ago and knows the culture well. She has built a strong relationship with Sumit's family and embraced local life. Fans think casting them on the wrong show was a mistake, as their story is better suited for programs focused on transformation and personal growth. Jenny and Sumit overcame obstacles to start a life together, accepting each other's imperfections. Jenny, however, still prefers to live by her own rules, rejecting cultural expectations. Fans continue to debate the couple, especially after Sumit's aunt criticized the extreme age gap, saying Jenny could be his mother. Jenny's life in India has been a journey of adjustment, patience, and self-discovery. When she first arrived, the cultural differences were overwhelming. Every small interaction required careful navigation. How to address elders, how to respect traditions, and how to balance her own beliefs with the expectations of her new family. At first, it was difficult. The language, customs, and social norms often made her feel isolated, even when surrounded by people who welcomed her. Over time, however, she learned to understand the rhythms of life in India. She began to feel a sense of belonging that had eluded her in her earlier relationships. Sumit, for his part, has always been ambitious but also reckless. His time on reality television had given him a taste of fame and recognition, but it also left him unprepared for real-world consequences. Jail, debt, and the erosion of his reputation forced him to confront the reality he had long ignored. Living with his parents was not just a matter of convenience. It was a humbling experience. Every day reminded him of his mistakes, the opportunities he squandered, and the life he had promised to build but failed to secure. Despite these challenges, the couple has shown remarkable resilience. Jenny's support has been steadfast, even when her patience was tested. She has navigated Sumit's moods, his frustrations with his family, and his constant worry about financial security. At the same time, she has fought for her independence, seeking small ways to assert herself and maintain a sense of autonomy. Her life with Alex, before her engagement, showed her what a healthy, supportive relationship could be. That contrast helped her realize what had been missing with Sumit and what she deserved in a partner. Fans of 90 Day Fiancé have noticed the differences between the televised narrative and the reality of Jenny and Sumit's life. Many have criticized the way their story is portrayed on The Other Way, claiming that it no longer captures the essence of the franchise. The drama that once felt authentic now seems staged or repetitive. Arguments over money, familial approval, and cultural expectations are no longer new or surprising. For some viewers, the appeal has faded because the struggles no longer feel fresh or relatable. Yet beneath the surface, real challenges remain. Financial instability continues to weigh heavily on the couple. Sumit's cafe business is more than just a dream. It is a lifeline. It represents hope, a tangible way for him to reclaim dignity and independence. The plan to expand into the automotive industry shows ambition, but it also carries risk. Fans may see it as a dramatic storyline, but for Sumit, it is a serious effort to rebuild his life. Every decision he makes is under scrutiny, and the pressure to succeed is constant. Jenny's perspective is equally important. She has been patient, understanding, and strategic in navigating her marriage. Yet her unhappiness cannot be ignored. Living with in-laws, managing financial stress, and adjusting to a life she did not fully choose have taken their toll. She longs for freedom and peace, a life where she is not constantly negotiating her needs or emotions for the sake of appearances. Her engagement to Alex represents a turning point, a moment where she chooses herself, her happiness, and a future that aligns with her values. The public debate about their age gap continues to spark controversy. Sumit's comments have reignited discussions about whether such relationships can survive scrutiny from family and society. Critics argue that a significant age difference